What if the peace at Heartland was only an illusion? What if a decision made years ago, meant to protect the ranch, is quietly unraveling everything Amy, Jack, Lou, and the family have built? This isn't a storm you can see coming. It's a secret buried in the land itself. A truth waiting to resurface, shaking hearts, testing loyalties, and forcing impossible choices. When Lou uncovers what was hidden all these years, it's not just paperwork, it's a legacy under threat. And no one at Heartland will remain untouched. The morning begins like any other at Heartland, with the sun casting golden light across the fields and the soft rhythm of hooves against the earth. Amy is tending to the horses, brushing Spartan with careful, steady strokes, feeling the familiar warmth of his neck under her hands. The calm is comforting, almost sacred, a rare moment of serenity after years of storms, financial pressure, and personal losses. Jack is nearby, checking fences, his eyes scanning the horizon with quiet pride. Lou sits at the kitchen table, her glasses perched on her nose, going through paperwork that seems mundane, but is threaded with years of Heartland's history. The ranch feels alive, vibrant, steady. The kind of steady that doesn't demand attention, but is noticed when it shifts. That shift comes quietly, like a shadow moving across the floor. Lou notices it first, in the form of an innocuous letter from the county office. A simple request, routine on the surface. Updated land documentation, verification of older property lines. Nothing alarming at first glance. Lou sighs, thinking of the stack of forms she handles every week, but as she reviews the attached survey, her brow furrows. Something doesn't line up. A section of land historically understood to be part of Heartland is marked differently in archived records. Not by much, but enough to disturb the sense of certainty that has always been the backbone of their family life. She double-checks the files, cross-references old agreements, and finds a document tucked away from a decade ago. A time when Heartland was teetering under financial strain, when Jack had made choices to protect the ranch quietly, sacrifices that no one at the time fully understood. The document isn't illegal. It doesn't scream scandal, but it whispers a truth that threatens to ripple through the family like a hidden earthquake. A portion of the land was temporarily transferred as collateral, tied to an agreement that was never fully reversed, and the name attached to it, familiar, close, connected to the present, sits there in black ink, undeniable. Lou reads it over and over, hoping that familiarity has dulled the impact, that her eyes are playing tricks. But the truth is immutable. A mistake, or maybe a calculated sacrifice, made in desperation. A decision meant both to save Heartland, now hovering over them like a silent threat. Amy, immersed in her work with the horses, senses the subtle shift. Before she even knows what's wrong, Heartland has a rhythm, a pulse that she can feel in her bones. Horses sense it. She knows, and so does she. The shift is in the air. Jack speaks less, Lou is distracted, the ranch hands exchange fleeting glances of concern. The peace that once felt unshakable is now fragile. And then, another letter arrives. This one is sharper, heavier. It states clearly that the land in question is under review for ownership confirmation. Until this is resolved, any development or usage plans tied to that acreage are paused. Development, Amy reads aloud in her mind, a single word carrying weight far beyond the page. Paused development means intent. Someone has designs for this land, plans that were kept from them. What was once an abstract legal line is now a living question, a potential invasion into the heart of everything Heartland stands for. Jack sees Lou's concern, the tightening of her jaw, the way her hands tremble slightly over the paperwork. He remembers the choices made during that turbulent financial period. He remembers the pressure, the necessity of trust, the gamble of transferring collateral to protect what they loved. He thought he had corrected the agreement afterward. He believed the wrongs had been righted. But now, uncertainty creeps in, quiet but undeniable. Amy feels it too, a cold weight settling in her chest, the sense that Heartland is not just a property. It is a sanctuary, a living testament to family, healing, and the resilience of broken lives. And suddenly, it may be partially outside their control. Lou debates silently, pacing the kitchen floor while Jack works outside. If she tells Jack first, It feels like admitting failure. If she tells Amy, it risks fear and panic. If she does nothing, the truth may surface in an unmanageable way. Lou understands that secrets allowed to surface on their own are always more dangerous than those revealed deliberately. Meanwhile, Amy's instincts sharpen. She notices subtle changes. Jack's voice softer, his movements more measured, Lou's distracted glances at files, the horses slightly uneasy in their stalls. Something is shifting, and it's bigger than any storm, any rival, any past hardship they've faced. This is silent, unseen, and it begins in the quiet turning of papers, the weight of old agreements, and the inevitability of a truth no one anticipated. The following days at Heartland feel heavier than any summer drought or winter freeze. The ranch carries its usual rhythm, yet everything seems off. Amy notices subtle changes. The horses are restless, Spartan flinches at small noises, and even the younger ones, usually calm under her touch, resist the brush. Heartland has always responded to emotion, and now, the tension Lou discovered pulses through every corner of the ranch. Jack moves with deliberate care, checking fences and water lines, but there is a quiet weight in his shoulders. Lou keeps the documents close, rereading every line, every signature, every date. She feels as though the papers themselves are alive, each word a ticking clock counting down toward a confrontation no one is prepared for. Amy confronts Lou one afternoon while feeding the horses. Lou hesitates, eyes darting away, hands fumbling with the feed bucket. Finally, she speaks, her voice low but urgent. "Amy, there's something you need to see, something from years ago." Amy stops mid-step, sensing the gravity before seeing the papers. Lou spreads the documents across the table, pointing to the collateral agreement, the signatures, the annotations that confirm what Jack had never fully corrected. Amy reads quietly, slowly, the words burning into her mind. A section of the ranch, Heartland itself, a symbol of their family, of survival, of love, is not entirely theirs. Temporarily, it had been given as collateral, but the reversal was never officially recorded. Amy's chest tightens. The land that raised her, that bore witness to her childhood and her triumphs with the horses, now carries a legal weight beyond her control. She sits down heavily, brushing her hands over the table, trying to steady her breathing. How could this have been missed?" she whispers. Jack enters the kitchen, sensing the unease before Lou speaks. When Lou finally explains, Jack's face remains calm, his eyes distant, shadowed by memory. He remembers the days of financial struggle, the long nights calculating survival, the trust placed in documents and people he assumed would honor their word. "I thought I fixed it afterward," he says softly, almost to himself. His words are quiet, but carry the weight of decades. Amy and Lou exchange glances, realizing that Heartland has survived countless trials, yet now the challenge is not natural disaster, nor rivalry, nor illness. This threat comes from the past, from a choice made out of necessity, and it carries consequences no one at Heartland can ignore. The tension thickens when another letter arrives. This time, it is more formal, stating that the land in question is under legal review for ownership confirmation. Development discussions tied to the area are paused pending the outcome. Amy reads the words repeatedly. Development. A wave of unease washes over her. Development is more than construction. It represents intrusion, change, a shift in the sanctuary that Heartland has always been. The implications press down on her chest. What if the character of Heartland, the healing, the quiet, the connection between humans and horses, is compromised by someone else's legal rights? Her hands tremble slightly as she brushes Spartan's mane, trying to focus, trying to hold on to the steady rhythm of the ranch. Jack sits with her later, gazing across the fields toward the Southfield, the very land now at the center of uncertainty. "We survived droughts, debt, personal loss," he says quietly. "But this feels different. It's not about surviving nature or circumstance. It's about surviving the choices of the past." Amy nods, realizing he is right. The gravity is not loud. It does not announce itself with thunder or shouting. It is quiet, persistent, like the subtle erosion of soil beneath a foundation. The trust and sacrifices made years ago, meant to protect Heartland, now demand vigilance, strategy, and courage. Meanwhile, Lou begins making calls to lawyers, using careful, measured tones. She inquires about technicalities, possible delays, loopholes, anything that can buy them time. Each response confirms the unavoidable. The agreement exists, it was properly filed, and without written proof of reversal, the legal claim stands. Legal, Lou repeats under her breath, the word echoing like a warning bell. Heartland has always been built on loyalty, love, and family promises, but the law does not measure sentiment. Amy feels the weight of it all pressing on her chest. The ranch is more than land, more than structures or fences. It is history, memory, legacy, and now, history and legality are colliding in a way that threatens to unbalance everything they have fought to protect. In the evenings, the family gathers quietly. Conversations are careful, guarded. Lindy notices the tension, asking questions that Amy answers cautiously, trying to protect her from worry without hiding the truth entirely. Jack remains composed, but Amy senses the gnawing anxiety in his pauses, the subtle shift in his voice, the way his hands linger over a fence post longer than necessary. Lou continues to organize and strategize, her mind constantly circling back to the documents. Each night, Amy lies awake staring at the Southfield, memories flowing. The laughter of Ty, her first rides with Lindy, sunsets over the fields. Can the soul of Heartland survive legal ownership disputes? Can the healing that the ranch provides remain intact if its land is no longer wholly theirs? The questions are sharp, unavoidable, and yet unanswerable for the moment. The storm has not yet arrived, yet it is unmistakably coming. The quiet tension in the air, the undercurrent of fear and uncertainty, the knowledge of a truth previously buried, all combine to form a threat more insidious than any wildfire or financial crisis. Heartland is being tested from within, by choices made decades ago, by paperwork that has survived unchallenged, and by a presence, someone with ties to that history, who may soon step onto the ranch, bringing intentions that could alter everything. Amy, Jack, and Lou understand that the days ahead will require more than resilience. They will demand courage, negotiation, and the careful balancing of legacy and legality. The ranch secret is no longer dormant. It moves quietly, persistently, and it is ready to be confronted. The gravel crunches under tires before anyone sees the truck. Amy, standing near the barn doors, notices the subtle shift first. A presence, deliberate and calm, disrupting the familiar rhythm of Heartland. She instinctively tightens her grip on the halter of Spartan, feeling the horse's tension mirror her own. Jack emerges from the fields, wiping his hands on a rag, Lou following behind, eyes narrowing as she scans the approaching vehicle. The man who steps out is composed, measured, carrying the quiet authority of someone who knows exactly what he wants. His calm doesn't reassure, it unsettles, because calmness can carry intention as sharp as any storm. Amy catches her first glimpse of him, and the color drains from her face. She recognizes the name from Lou's documents before she even sees the man fully. Daniel Reed. The signature on the old collateral agreement, the name tied to part of the Southfield, the land they believed was theirs, now has a living, breathing presence in front of them. He isn't aggressive. He doesn't demand or threaten. He simply observes, taking in the ranch, the horses, the family, all with quiet precision. Lou steps forward cautiously, the documents clutched tightly in her hands. The weight of years and choices made under duress presses on her chest as she prepares to confront the reality she's been dreading. "Jack Bartlett," Daniel says evenly, voice calm but carrying weight, like a stone thrown into still water. Jack responds with a measured nod, his posture defensive but composed. He senses that this moment, quiet as it is, could reshape everything. Amy watches silently, her chest tight, as Daniel opens his truck and retrieves a folder. Inside are legal documents, county confirmations, filings, evidence that the collateral agreement was never fully reversed. He places them carefully on the table in front of Jack and Lou, the weight of each paper heavier than any fence post they've ever repaired. The proof is undeniable. The Southfield is partially tied to Daniel's family. Heartland's sanctuary, a place of memory and healing, now carries a legal shadow. Amy speaks first, quietly but firmly. "What do you want?" Her question is measured, carrying years of resilience and the instinct to protect Heartland at all costs. Daniel's eyes meet hers, unwavering. "I'm not here to destroy Heartland." he says, "but legally, this land is mine to claim. I plan to use it." The simplicity of the words carries an almost cruel weight. Not a shout, not a threat, just a declaration. Amy feels the ground shift beneath her. The sanctuary she has always known, the place where broken people and horses find peace, is at risk. Not by nature, not by accident, but by a legal truth they cannot ignore. Jack steps forward, voice quiet but firm, the calm of decades of experience tempered by the tension of uncertainty. "That land is Heartland," he says. Daniel meets his gaze steadily, not arguing, not challenging the statement with force. He simply opens the folder wider, letting the evidence speak. Jack had believed he had corrected the collateral transfer years ago, trusted that the agreement had been nullified. But Daniel's presence, his preparation, reveals otherwise. Amy senses Jack's restraint, the way his jaw tightens, the slight narrowing of his eyes. Years of trust, loyalty, and careful stewardship are now being weighed against legality and consequence. Lou, anxious but determined, tries to reason. "There has to be another way," she says, voice trembling slightly. "We can't. This land is more than just lines on paper. It's Heartland. It's Amy's childhood. It's Ty's memory. We can find a solution." Daniel listens, nods thoughtfully, and then offers a solution that is both a lifeline and a challenge. "Buy me out," he says calmly. The number he names is daunting, higher than Heartland can comfortably manage. The stakes are clear, survival is possible, but at a cost that will test more than finances. Amy looks at Jack and Lou, seeing the same mixture of fear, calculation, and resolve mirrored in their eyes. This isn't just a legal battle, it's a moral one. A test of values, of integrity, of what Heartland truly represents. The days following Daniel's arrival are heavy, filled with quiet calculation and careful observation. Every decision, every glance across the Southfield carries the weight of potential loss. Amy walks the fields, running her hand along the fences, feeling the wind shift across the grass, thinking of the horses she has raised, the riders she has trained, the sunsets she has watched countless times. Each memory feels fragile now, tethered to a piece of land whose ownership is suddenly uncertain. Jack revisits old files, digging through boxes, letters, receipts, and agreements, trying to find proof that the collateral transfer was reversed. Every search confirms the truth. Somewhere in the process, the reversal never happened. It wasn't betrayal, but it was trust misplaced, and the consequences are real and present. Lou speaks to lawyers again, testing options, asking about delays, about technical loopholes that might buy time. But the responses are blunt and firm. Legally, Daniel's claim stands. Amy feels the pressure building inside her chest, a mixture of fear, anger, and resolve. Heartland has survived droughts, financial crises, grief, even accidents that threaten the horses. But this is different. This is human, legal, calculated. The storm is quiet, subtle, relentless, and coming from the past rather than the sky. Amy, Jack, and Lou know one thing with absolute clarity. They must respond wisely, or Heartland could lose more than land. It could lose the values, the spirit, the essence that makes it what it is. The days following Daniel's arrival are filled with a heavy, almost suffocating quiet. Heartland operates as usual, but everything feels different. Every sound, every movement carries a subtle tension, a question of what the future holds. Amy notices it in the horses first. Spartan's ears twitch more than normal. A soft whinny escapes him unexpectedly. Even the younger horses, usually playful and calm, are hesitant, their rhythm disrupted by the emotional weight that drifts across the ranch. Amy feels the weight in her chest, a gnawing sense that the sanctuary they have nurtured for decades is vulnerable in ways that cannot be repaired with fences or careful care.